Leaving Shap in the morning, the M6 is a bit of a shock to the system, but you're soon over the footbridge and past the quarries beyond and into the beautiful Westmoreland limestone plateau. Away from the M6, the only sounds you could hear was the occasional sheep bleating and hundreds of skylarks singing. Spent last night in the new Ings Lodge in Shap. What a top place! Really nice place to stay. Really nice rooms, top breakfast, and a bar that was open till 8 that was serving some very nice local ales. Went down to a local pub to get a meal, and the beer was not half as good. So totally recommended place to stay if you're ever doing the coast to coast, or if you're in Shap. Crossing the limestone plateaus now between Shap and Kirby Stephen. I don't know if you can hear all the skylarks in the background of this. There's hundreds of them, and there's been a few. There was actually, it's totally pleasant for walking at the moment. Yesterday was far too hot. It's clouded right over, it's a lot cooler, and actually just a minute ago there was a shower came through, but actually that's a lot better than what it was yesterday, which was just too hot for carrying a big pack. So all good. The Westmoreland limestone plateau that we're crossing now is a great little corner of the world. I've only had a few wanders around here over the years, probably more so recently, and very few people, very wild. There's a curlew there in the background, and some lovely little corners hidden away from just about everybody. So thoroughly recommend it as a bit of England to explore. I've done about 6 miles over a 20-mile day, and it's about 11:15, so I'm doing pretty well, really. Whether that'll continue for the rest of the day, we'll see. It's fairly straightforward walking, with not the big ups and downs of the Lake District, and softer underfoot as well. So anyway, I'll see how we get on. Effectively walking along the Upper Loon Valley now. Those are the Howgills over there. It's a very nice part of the world, this, and we come here quite often nowadays because it's very quiet. Even on sort of busy bank holidays when the lakes will be rammed, it's quiet around here. So top recommendation. The stage between Shap and Kirby Stephen is probably a bit easier than some of the walking in the lakes, but it makes up for it by being a good 20 miles. This is the Packhorse Bridge over Scandale Beck. If you look up the valley, there's a disused railway viaduct, which is quite spectacular. It's a very nice little corner, this. After a long day, I finally made it to Kirby Stephen and spent the night in the Black Bull. A top curry in the mango tree sorted me out for food. You leave Kirby Stephen by Frank's Bridge. As you can see, there's not much water coming down the River Eden here. Having crossed over the bridge, you see the first signpost that gives you the distance to Robin Hood's Bay. I reckon that Keld on this stage today is probably the halfway point of the coast to coast. Climbing up from Kirby Stephen, you start to see 9 Standards rig up on the ridge in front of you. 9 Standards rig pretty much marks the watershed where any rain falling will flow east down the River Swale into the North Sea from now on. A bit of a scenic panning shot this. That's Wildboar Fell down there that has a set of cairns on it, a bit like 9 Standards rig. Then we're looking across towards the Howgill Fells, and then down the upper Loon Valley, and then finally back over Kirby Stephen and towards the Limestone Plateau. You can see by this shot that by this stage of the trip water levels are getting pretty low. I'd actually bought a camelback in Kirby Stephen just so I could carry a bit more water. I made it up to 9 Standards rig mid-morning. Curious structures. I don't think anyone really knows what they are or even what era they were put up there. There's a whole range of theories, one of which was that they were put up there to put off marauding Scots armies because they think there was an army camped up on the hillside there, but I don't think anyone really knows. This is a notorious section of the coast to coast for being a bogfest. I mean, looking at it now and touching wood and all that sort of stuff, it's pretty dry. It's probably as dry as it'll ever get. But I'm sure there are some places further down in the hollows where it is going to get pretty wet. I'd like to get through here without getting the boots wet, because what I realise, they're pretty old bootsies but very comfortable, and they're not waterproof in any way. They'll probably take a day or two to dry if they get really wet, so really I'd like to avoid. So that's Skylark just up in front of me, off the trig. The boggy nature of this section means that it's very prone to erosion, so an attempt has been made to manage this by channeling walkers down different routes at different times of the year. I don't think it made much difference on the day that I was doing it, but I followed the correct route anyway because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But actually the whole moor was very dry. Walking in towards Ravenseat, the couple in front of me are Brian and Heidi, known as the Liverpool Hikers, who have got a YouTube channel which is worth checking out. Bumped into them on and off for the rest of the trip. If you're into waterfalls, then Swaledale's the place to be. It looked quite inviting, but I needed to get down to the Swale Lodge and check out the food situation and get down to the campsite and get my tent up. This is me set up in Rukin's Farm campsite in Keld. Pretty good site, good facilities, and if you notice how well the tent's put up compared to earlier in the trip after having a bit of practice.
So, day 8, it's about 7:30 in the morning. I'm just having me frugal breakfast. Campsite in Keld. Sun shining, blue skies, and it's going to be another hot day by the looks of it. Just need to get my stuff together. Whilst earlier on the trip, I even as a card-carrying member of the RSPB, I had a very strong urge to shoot cuckoos. I now have the same homicidal urge directed towards curlews. The curlew started burbling all around at about 4 in the morning. Now, just as I'm very fond of a cuckoo, I'm also very fond of a curlew. But at 4 in the morning, it's not on at all. But I guess in the absence of a 12 gauge, I'm probably not going to do anything about it. And there's quite a lot of curlews, so there would have to be widespread mayhem in order to achieve some silence for sleeping. So probably not a good idea, and it might attract attention from the authorities.
Looking back at the flesh pots of Keld, not an awful lot there, but a nice place all the same. And now heading off down Swirldale, which is definitely one of the most beautiful of the Yorkshire Dales valleys. It's a great time of year to be walking, because I think Britain is at its best in sort of May, June, spring. All the bluebells are still out and the trees are just sort of freshly in bloom. There's a lot of wildflowers and stuff. Can't be beaten, really.
Just beyond Keld, you get the option of carrying on over the high level route or going down Swirldale. I chose to go down Swirldale just because I thought it would be prettier, and it was. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but there's an oyster catcher running around in the middle of this frame. Upper Swirldale here was full of breeding waders, oyster catchers and sandpipers, and even my friends the curlews.
So in Swirldale, a bit more wildflower meadow action going on here. It is absolutely beautiful.
The low-level route pretty much follows the River Swale all the way down to Reeth, apart from a short section where it climbs up onto the north side of the valley. After Gunnerside, the route climbs up onto the north side of the valley. It gives you a good view of the small fields with the field barns, which is very typical of Yorkshire Dales valleys. After this, the route meets up with the high level route before both drop down into Reeth.